Hello and welcome back to Pharma E-Class. I am Anindya Goswami and we were discussing heat exchangers and heat interchangers. We had completed with heat exchanger, now it's time for heat interchangers. So first and foremost we have liquid to liquid heat interchanger. Come to its construction. So this is a typical liquid to liquid heat interchanger and this is particularly useful in certain pharmaceutical operations and it is employed likewise also. So what is the principle behind it? That the liquid heat interchanger in this type of machine, the fluid to be heated is passed only once through the tube before it is discharged. That is, it is a single pass tube and the heat transfer in this case is not that much efficient. Come to the construction. The construction is same as that of the single pass tubular heater which you have studied previously in the exchanger part. Only difference is that it contains the baffles. So these are the baffles. These are partitions or baffles. So it is almost, the diagram is almost same as that of the single pass tubular heater. So only difference is that it contains baffles to lengthen the path of the flow of the outer liquid. A set of parallel tubes are fitted to the tube sheets at two ends. So this is the basic difference, the providence of the baffles. Otherwise it is almost similar to the single pass tubular heaters. Now the tubes and the tube sheets are placed inside the shell or the casing. The cold liquid inlet is fitted to the, these are the tube sheet and this is the cold liquid inlet. So the cold liquid inlet is fitted to the left hand side distribution chamber and the outer is fitted with the right hand side of the distribution chamber. So this is the outlet of the heated liquid and this is the inlet for the hot liquid and this is the outlet for the hot liquid. So the inlet for the cold liquid is given in the left hand side. So this is the left distribution chamber, this one, and this is the right distribution chamber. And each and every through the tubes you are finding the baffles and just look at the arrows of how the heat is being distributed. So the tubes and the tube sheets are placed inside the shell. The cold liquid inlet is fitted to the left hand side distribution chamber and the outlet is fitted with the right hand side of the distribution chamber. The hot liquid is entering through this is the entry of the hot liquid. It is entering through the right hand side, top side of the shell and leaving the shell through the outer outlet placed on the top left hand side of the shell. So this is the outlet for the hot liquid and this is the outlet for the inlet for the hot liquid. So it is coming here and going on, outlet is at this particular point. Now baffles, they consist of circular metal sheets with one side cut away. Baffles are placed inside the shell at appropriate places and baffles have perforations on it through which the tubes they are generally passing. Come to its working. Now the hot liquid is pumped from the left to the top of the shell, left top of the shell. The fluid flows through the shell, that is outside of the tubes, and moves down directly to the bottom due to the presence of the baffles, and it again consequently moves up like this. It flows from the left to the right hand side of the shell, from the left to the right hand side of the shell. Baffles, they are designed or they are kept to increase the velocity of the hot fluid, and outside the tubes which creates more turbulence. This reduces the film thickness at the outside of the tube and thus increases the film coefficient and overall it improves the heat transfer. The baffles also get heated and they add to the heat transfer to the cold liquid. The cold liquid is then pumped through the inlet at the left hand side distribution chamber. The liquid passes through the tubes and gets up heated. The heated liquid is then collected from the right hand side distribution chamber. So from here the liquid, this is the cold liquid inlet and which is at the left distribution chamber, and this is the outlet of the heated liquid after the heating process has happened, and it is being collected from the right distribution chamber. Come to the advantages. Here the heat transfer is quite rapid, and for that purpose this particular thing is known as your liquid to liquid heat interchanger, and this heat transfer is also aggravated by the presence of the baffles. The second type of heat interchanger is called as the double pipe heat interchanger. This is the basic construction diagram. So we are having this cold liquid outlet, the inlet for the cold liquid, and look at the pipe. It is going through this, having a bend, then again it is coming, again having a bend, then it is coming. So a simple type of design where the tube is being inclined and slightly bent, and like this for particular purpose. So this is the inlet for the cold liquid after the certain bends, and this is the outlet for the heated liquid. And here we have a pipe for the hot liquid, and this is the inlet for the hot liquid. So, and this is the at the bottom the outlet for the hot liquid is provided. So in double pipe heated interchanger, number of pass can be increased as desired. So we can improve the or increase the number of the pass, the number of times the liquid is passing and the heat interchanging is occurring. So come to its construction. In this case, two pipes are used, one inserted into the other. The cold fluid passes through the inner tube. The outer pipe acts as a jacket for the circulation of hot fluid, and the all jacketed sections are interconnected. Normally, the number of the pipe sections or the pipes inside the sections are few, and the length of the pipe is also quite less. The inner tubes may be made up of glass and maybe of standard iron or raw iron. The pipes are connected with standard return bends. These are the bends, and the pipes are stacked vertically. These pipes may have certain longitudinal fins on its outer surface, particularly for better heat transfer. Fins are some external attachment which is just like a fan, which improves the rate of heat transfer. Yes. Now come to its working. The hot liquid is pumped into the jacketed section. It is circulated through the annular spaces between them and carried from one section to the next section rapidly. Finally, it leaves the jacket, and in this process, the pipes substantially they get heated. So the liquid to be heated is pumped through the inlet of the inner tube. The liquids get heated up and flows through the bent tube, this particular bent tubes, into the next tube section, and finally it leaves the exchanger. Come to the limitation of this interchanger, that is the double pipe heat interchanger is economical when the heating surface area is less than 9 meters square. So this is the limitation. If we can stick to this particular area, then it is a quite economical one, but if it is not, we are having a larger surface area, then this is not an economical process or economical choice. Now come to the different source of heat. As we are studying heat, about the transfer of heat, so we must know what are the possible sources of heats which is mostly used in pharmacy and other processes where heat energy is being needed to transfer. First and foremost, we have steam, which is exactly providing high or very high heat content. Under 1 atmospheric pressure saturated, steam has around 450 calorie per grams of latent heat. So it is an high energy content and it provides very high heat. So steams are used for different purposes. We have already know what are the uses of steam. The heat of steam is given up at a constant temperature. When steam condenses, no temperature change takes place, only the latent heat is then given up. The raw material of steam is water. It is definitely cheap and quite easily available, clean, odorless, tasteless, so that no accidental contamination is not that much serious, and it is easy to generate. Its distribution is also easy, and control of steam is also easier if compared to the other sources of heats. Next is electricity after steam, which is the most commonest source of electricity, but it is not that cheap. Definitely it is expensive. So heating coil made with nichrome wire, it is used in heating oven and tray dryers. Air can be heated by passing through the heating coil. Water can also be heated by using heating element. heating element is a coil of nichrome, were covered with a microconductor, with a non-conductor and enclosed with a steel pipe, so that there is no transmission of electricity to the user who is using. So that protection is to be done. Next, infrared source, that is also another important source of heat, where infrared heating source with carbon filament, it is used for drying of films, etc., as the materials are conveyed under the infrared heating source. So this is the concluding part of the chapter, that is heat transfer. We started from the basic conduction, convection and radiation. Finally we moved on to the equations of the radiation part, the conduction part, the convection part. We classified into different types of convection, that is forced convection, natural convection. Then we moved on to the different types of exchangers and interchangers, and we concluded the sources of heat. Thank you very much.